What's up, everybody? The BetSided team is back for week 3 in the NFL and week 4 in college football. Ben Heisler, Ian McMillan, Peter Dewey, Donovan Smoot, and Reed Wallach. The gang is all back with our early leans for NFL and for college football. Make sure you guys are subscribed here on YouTube. Also give the video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content that we're putting out. All of our odds for these games are based off the odds over at WynnBET Sportsbook. And if you love this type of content, make sure you guys check us out, fansided.com/betsided. All right. So NFL last week, 2-3 against the spread, but we are still off to a very solid start. 6-3 against the spread overall. And certainly you'll take that through the first couple of weeks of a wild NFL season. So Ian, I'm going to start things off with you. You have the Chargers plus 6.5 against Kansas City. Total in that game, 55.5. I know you talked about an interesting trend involving the Kansas City Chiefs, a very good team, but a team that has not been particularly good at covering the spread lately.
Yeah, I got to back the Chargers in the points here. Like you mentioned, the Chiefs just not good at covering the spread. It turns out sports betting is not as easy as just betting on the best team in the NFL, because over their last 13 games, the Chiefs are 1-11-1 against the spread. Now, I'm not really a huge trends guy, but that's pretty significant. But the main reason why I like this bet is the Chiefs defense, the worst defense in the NFL so far through the first 2 weeks. And it's not even close. They're allowing an average of 7.6 yards per play. The next worst defense is allowing 6.9. So they're averaging 0.7 more yards per play than the next worst defense in the NFL. I have to take the Chargers offense and the points to at least keep it close in this one. So give me the Chargers plus 6.5.
Yeah, it's very close to that line of 7. The Chargers, potentially a team that could sneak up. Remember, Justin Herbert at the start of the season was one of the early favorites to win MVP. He slipped a little bit, so maybe an opportunity to buy low over at WynnBET Sportsbook. Donovan, let me go to you. You have the Raiders minus 3.5. They're back home in Vegas. The 2-0 Las Vegas Raiders, knock on wood, if you're with John Gruden's squad, getting 3.5 against Miami. Total in that game, pretty low, 45.5. What's your thought process here?
Yeah, so, I'm taking the Raiders this week. I just think that the Dolphins, with or without Tua, they just don't have the firepower to keep up, with the Raiders. We saw the Dolphins week 1 only put up 16, or 17 points. We see them last week get shut out by the Bills. Bills defense isn't even a crazy defense, and we see that they're, inept. But the Raiders, the one question that we had about them going into the season was their defense. Right now, they're top 10 in points allowed. They're top 10 in takeaways. And Derek Carr is playing some of the best football that he's played in his career. So I think that this is a great opportunity to jump on the Raiders bandwagon.
Maybe Derek Carr getting some dark horse MVP consideration. You might be able to find a story like that over at fansided.com/betsided as well. 2 consecutive games, 350 plus yards and 2 touchdowns for one Derek Carr. Peter, let me go to you. Let's go to a team on the road. The Seattle Seahawks are 2-point favorites headed to Minnesota to take on the 0-2 Vikings, although a couple plays here and there, and maybe the Vikings are 2-0 instead. Right now, that total, another one of these games with a pretty high total of 55.5. What are you thinking as far as this matchup is concerned?
Yeah, Ben, I'm going to back Seattle -2 on the road in this one. Russell Wilson in his career is 34-9 after a loss. Obviously, Seattle had that gut-wrenching loss against the Titans in week 2 where they blew a lead and then lost in overtime. But Minnesota, they played close games. So the spread being at 2, I get where the sports books are coming from there, but it's inside a field goal. And so I will take Seattle anytime if we're inside a field goal there. You get another overtime game like Minnesota had in week 1, and boom, Seattle, if they're the ones who kick the field goal, they're covering. The Vikings are actually only 4-8 as home underdogs under Mike Zimmer. So when it's this close, I'm more inclined to look at win-loss than against the spread record. And so I'm going to take Seattle -2, bounce back game for Russell Wilson and company.
Now, we talked about it on the Stacking the Box podcast that you don't want to be Seattle and fall to 1-2 in arguably the toughest division in the NFL this year. Reed, I'm going to go to you. We got a battle between the Patriots at home against the New Orleans Saints. Boy, talk about 2 different teams after what happened in week 1. You had the Patriots losing at home to Miami. They come out and stomp the New York Jets, force Zach Wilson to have 4 interceptions. And meanwhile, the Saints, after just dominating the Packers in Jacksonville, They struggle against Sam Darnold and the Carolina Panthers. So what do we make of this? Patriots -3. They're at home against New Orleans with a total of just 41.5 points.
Yeah, this is a good spot for the Patriots. And I know I backed what I thought was an undervalued favorite last week in the Chargers, some poor red zone luck. It happens, but I'm getting back on the horse, the Patriots -3. It's even money to get in on the Patriots. I make them about a 3.5-point favorite, but the spot is really not setting up well for the Saints. They're banged up on the defensive side of the ball. Marcus Davenport, Quan Alexander on IR, Marshawn Lattimore had hand surgery last week. He's going to be a game time decision this week. And give me Bill Belichick to scheme up a defense against Jameis Winston, who looked like the Tampa Bay Jameis Winston last week in Carolina. And lastly, this is the Saints' third straight road game. They've been displaced because of Hurricane Ida. Of course, that's unfortunate, but this is a road-weary team now. Are they really going to be their best selves after being displaced for nearly a month now? Give me Belichick. Give me the Patriots at home. I think anything under a field goal or lower, I'm in on the Patriots.
All right, so Patriots -3, looking for their second win of the season against New Orleans, also looking for win number 2. As for me, I took the Packers last week against the Lions. That one ended up coming through, and I'm going to go back to the well again. The Packers being road favorites. I know it's at San Francisco, but the 49ers let the Lions hang around a little bit too long, ended up covering the spread in week 1 on the road. And then in week 2, they eventually pulled away, had a really good second half against the Eagles, but there were some big plays that Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith and company were able to put up against San Francisco when they traveled to Philadelphia. I know that Aaron Rodgers, he's had a few rough games in San Francisco, but this is the opportunity where I love to back Aaron Rodgers, especially as an underdog on the road. Good opportunity for him. They finally clicked on the offensive side. Yeah, Aaron Jones had 4 touchdowns, but Rodgers was also magnificent as well, threading the needle, looking like the MVP type of performance that we saw from 2020. So I think Aaron Rodgers, especially if you can get that hook at +3.5 like they're offering right now at WinBet, I think it's a great opportunity for him to go on the road, make a pretty big statement as the Packers get themselves back on track. All right, so that's our NFL picks for week 3. Let's move on to college football. We are now improving. Got off to a rough start in week 1 for college football, but now going 3-2 against the spread in week 3, overall 6-8 against the spread in college football. I feel like this is the week that we completely turn these picks around, get back over 500. I personally was part of those losses. I will never bet on the Miami Hurricanes ever again. So with that being started, Ian, I'm going to go to you first. Wisconsin, the Badgers, hadn't played in a little bit of time or so. They're now -5.5. Actually, I should say they've moved to -6.5 in the last few minutes or so. So you're able to get on them early at -5.5 at home against Notre Dame. Jack Cohn of the Irish goes back to Wisconsin, where he played for several years. What's your take on this game with a total of 47?
Yeah, I got Wisconsin at -5.5. I like them at -6.5 too. Anything under that magic number of 7, I like Wisconsin in the spot. I've not been impressed at all by Notre Dame this season. They needed overtime to beat a not very good Florida State team. They barely beat Toledo, and then last week against Purdue, they didn't really look that impressive either. And I think we're getting some value on Wisconsin because of that loss in week 1 to Penn State, which is a very good team in Penn State. And the biggest thing that I like about this game is the Wisconsin rushing attack. We all know that they love to run the ball. 65.32% of their plays so far this season have been running plays, and they're averaging 4.7 yards per carry. Meanwhile, Notre Dame's allowing teams to get 4.3 yards per carry against them, and they haven't even played a good team yet, let alone a ranked team. So I think Wisconsin's going to run the ball all over them. I got them at -5.5, but like I said, I'd take them at anything under a touchdown. Go Badgers.
You said they haven't played a good team yet. They did play Toledo. Let's put a little bit of respect on the on the Rockets' name. All right, excellent play with Wisconsin at -5.5. Donovan, I'm going to you. We're staying in the Big Ten. Michigan State on the road. A good start for the Spartans this year. They're at -5 as they head to Nebraska. And Nebraska, I don't know if they necessarily opened up some eyes last week and hanging around with Oklahoma. But regardless, maybe it's an opportunity for a little bit of confidence for the Huskers, welcoming in undefeated Michigan State. That total is at 52. Where are you heading for this game?
Listen, go Sparty this week. Listen, Michigan State is 2-0-1 against the spread. Both of their wins have come, when they're underdogs. And I really like what I'm seeing from them on the offensive side of the ball. They put up 38 points twice. And even last week, look, I know that you don't like Miami, right? They kind of scorned you, but look, they went on the road and blew the doors off of the Hurricanes. I'm very, very impressed. And Nebraska, look, I know that they kept it close with Oklahoma, but I see that more as Oklahoma struggles and their issues of not being able to put teams away. Because you saw that with Toledo at the same time, or Tulane, my bad. But yeah, so I like Michigan State this week, and so yeah, go Sparty.
All right, Peter, I'm going to you next. We got the battle of K-States. You have Kansas State against Oklahoma State. So K-State, OK State. They're playing in a little bit of Big 12 action, that game in Oklahoma. Weird to see a total of 46 in a Big 12 game, but that's the current status. K-State just made it into the top 25, but yet here they are, 6-point underdogs on the road against the Cowboys.
Yeah, I cannot believe that Kansas State is this big of an underdog in this spot. Oklahoma State's 1-2 against the spread this year. They're 0-2 against the spread as a home favorite, which they are in week 4. And on top of that, they have a margin of victory of 4.3 points this year. They've played Boise State, Tulsa, and Missouri State. They don't blow anybody out. To think that they're going to beat a Kansas State defense by almost a touchdown, I just don't see it happening. Kansas State's been fantastic. They've allowed the 15th fewest yards in the entire country this year, and their rush defense is the best in the country, 32 a game. Oklahoma State relies on the run. They run for almost 200 yards a game at 193. I just can't believe a top 25 team's almost a touchdown dog. Even though they're on the road, I really can't believe that you can get Kansas State at this number. I'd play them all the way up to like 4 or 5 points. There's no way that Oklahoma State's winning by that much in this one.
All right, so keep your eye on that potential movement from K-State, currently +6 over at WynnBET Sportsbook. Reed, let's go to you in the world of college football. This is a pick that, while I certainly want to respect your wishes to go ahead and take Western Kentucky as 9-point home underdogs against my Indiana Hoosiers, I certainly wouldn't blame you for taking a side that wasn't Indiana, considering what we've seen from them over the first 3 weeks of the season. But you like the Hilltoppers, you like Big Red as big dogs at home against the Hoosiers.
I've been on this Western Kentucky bandwagon all off season long. I've been banging the drum, and this is a spot I've had circled. I'm not exaggerating, for the past 2 months. I've been waiting for this time. It's coming here, and we're here. We're betting Western Kentucky. Before I even talk about Western Kentucky's offense and why they're going to give Indiana trouble, let me just tell you about the spot. You have Western Kentucky coming off of a bye. You have a Big Ten opponent coming in off of a loss to a top Cincinnati team where they squandered a double-digit lead. Why is Indiana getting up for this game? They're 1-2 after a dream season. Michael Penix has not looked the part after his knee surgery. This just is not the same Indiana team as last year. Meanwhile, Western Kentucky has a bye. It's a night game. This is their Super Bowl. They want to make a statement, and it's the Bailey Zappi show. Houston Baptist transfer. They also hired the offensive coordinator, Zach Kittle. This is a new air raid offense. Western Kentucky isn't just going to cover this spread at anything over a touchdown. They're going to win this game outright. They are winning this outright, plus I think around 300. Give me the Hilltoppers. Give me the air raid. Zappy under the lights. Indiana wants no part of this game. Western Kentucky wants all of it. Go Hilltoppers.
Wow. All right. Well, the good news for me as an Indiana fan is if they lose this game outright and your prediction comes true, then that's going to give me plenty of Saturdays to have, free time with friends and family and just completely punt on the season for Indiana. So that's a little bit of a scary proposition, but I do think it's a very intriguing and a very solid call. Lastly, for college on my side, I'm going to go with a total. You guys were going against the spread. I'm going to go with the total. You have Texas Tech going to Texas. Not a lot of defense is going to be played in this game with a total of 61. I'm going to take the over here, and I expect that number to move substantially over the week over at WynnBET. Both of these teams are averaging right around 40 points a game. Even though Texas is a 7.5-point favorites, we've actually seen this number move from a consensus number of 10 all the way down to 7.5. So I think you're going to see this game be more back and forth, and the nature of this game is likely going to dictate towards more points and a more of a heavy up-tempo pace from both of these teams as well. Texas 2-1 and over so far over the course of this year. It wouldn't surprise me if that number moves to 3-1 as well. So there you have it. Those are our early leans for week 4 in college football. We also got them for NFL week 3 as well. We also have tons of stories on all these different games and matchups and previews and predictions and so much more. Make sure you guys check us out by going to fansided.com/betsided, and check us out on social as well. We are on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at BetSided. So for the crew, I'm Ben. We'll talk to you guys soon. Be good.